Beloved, pause for a second and really breathe. Not later, right now. Because if this message found you at this exact moment, something deeper than chance is already moving around your life. What looks silent is not empty. What feels delayed is not dead. And what you think is ending may actually be the moment everything starts turning in your favor. There is a shift that happens when you stop running after someone who has been living too comfortably on your effort, and most people never understand that shift until it is already changing the whole story. This is not about revenge. It is not about cold games. It is not about pretending not to care. It is about what happens when your spirit finally gets tired of pouring love into a place that only knows how to receive, not return. And once that happens, the energy changes. Fast. Stay with me, because what happens next is not always visible at first, but it is powerful. The silence you created begins to speak louder than every message you ever sent. The distance begins to reveal what constant access used to hide. The person who was sure you would always be there suddenly has to face a version of reality where you are no longer carrying the weight of the whole connection alone. That is where the real truth starts rising. And before this is over, you may understand that your silence did not weaken your position at all. It revealed your worth. Listen carefully, because this part matters more than people realize. You did not beg. You did not send one last long message trying to explain your heart. You did not keep knocking on a closed door until your own soul became exhausted from the sound of it. You simply stopped, quietly, strongly. And in that one decision, something serious began to move. The person who had grown used to your warmth, your attention, your check-ins, your effort, and your emotional openness is now standing inside a silence they did not prepare for. They may not say it out loud, they may still act normal on the outside, but the absence is speaking to them. That is what they were never ready for. Words can be argued with. Silence cannot. Explanations can be ignored. Absence cannot. When you stop chasing, the connection is forced to reveal what was real and what was only being kept alive by your energy. Before this, your effort was carrying too much. It kept the conversations moving. It kept the emotional door open. It kept the bond from collapsing under the weight of their passivity. But now that your energy is no longer doing all the heavy lifting, the truth has room to breathe. And truth changes everything. If there was real care in them, it starts waking up. If there was only comfort, that becomes obvious too. Either way, the mask begins to slip. This is why the moment feels so quiet and yet so strong at the same time. Do not click away, because the next part explains why your silence is not punishment. It is exposure. It is clarity. It is the end of confusion pretending to be love. When one person keeps pursuing for both people, the connection may look alive, but deep down, it is running on imbalance. It feels like movement, but it is not mutual. It feels like progress, but it is not partnership. Your constant showing up may have covered that truth for a long time. It may have filled every silence before they had to feel it, answered every gap before they had to notice it, and protected them from facing their own uncertainty. As long as you kept reaching, they never had to decide. As long as you kept giving, they never had to examine how little they returned. That is why the moment you stepped back, the structure began to shake. Not because you created drama, but because you removed the energy that was hiding the imbalance. Suddenly, what once felt stable now feels strange to them. What once felt easy now feels unsettled. And the human heart does not stay comfortable for long when something meaningful begins slipping out of reach. Your silence forces a question they had avoided for too long. What did this person truly mean to me when they were no longer making it easy for me to avoid the answer? That question can disturb the proud, awaken the passive, and confront the careless. And that is exactly why this season matters. You are no longer protecting them from the consequences of their own lack of effort. You are no longer filling every emotional gap so they can stay undecided without discomfort. You are no longer doing both parts in a connection that was supposed to be mutual. Watch closely, because people reveal themselves when they are no longer being over-accommodated. One of the first things your silence does is expose the imbalance with painful honesty. While you were always there, the unequal nature of the bond could hide behind routine. It could hide behind messages, behind familiar habits, behind emotional access that was never truly earned. But once you step back, that cover is gone. Now they have to see how often you reached out first, how often you carried the emotional labor, how many times your consistency held together something they were only casually participating in. And that kind of realization is not light. It unsettles people. It forces them to face what they accepted without gratitude and what they enjoyed without responsibility. Then something else begins. Stillness. Real stillness. In that stillness, feelings rise. Thoughts get louder. Questions circle back. They start replaying conversations. They remember moments they brushed past. They wonder why your energy feels different. They start sensing the weight of a space that used to be filled by your effort. And then comes the real test, initiative. The burden of movement is no longer on you. The next step is theirs now. And what they choose to do with that silence will tell you more than any promise ever could. Someone who truly values you will not stay comfortable forever while losing access to you. Someone who is mature enough for real love will not just wait for you to restart the pattern that benefited them most, so stay grounded. This is where the truth starts separating itself from fantasy, and what is revealed here can save you years of confusion. Not everybody responds to your silence in the same way, and that response says more about them than all their sweet words ever did. A person with emotional depth will not instantly become defensive when they feel your withdrawal. They will sit with the discomfort. They will look inward. They will ask themselves hard questions. They will notice the ways they were passive, vague, avoidant, inconsistent, or too proud to meet you properly. Instead of protecting their image at all costs, they will care enough about the connection to face their part in it. But someone who lacks that maturity often does the opposite. They may pull away even more. They may act cold to protect their ego. They may pretend the bond meant less than it did, just so they do not have to deal with guilt, regret, or vulnerability. They may wait in stubborn silence, hoping you will return to your old pattern and save them from having to grow. That is why your silence is such a powerful filter. It reveals whether they are capable of honest love or only comfortable attachment. It shows whether they can handle accountability or only convenience. It shows whether they are ready to build something real or only enjoy being emotionally fed without offering the same in return. And you need to understand this clearly. The way they react now is information. It is not something to fear. It is something to observe. Their response is not just a reaction to losing access. It is a mirror of their inner life. Stay with this, because what your absence uncovers next is even deeper. It does not just reveal their maturity, it reveals their true feelings when your energy is no longer propping them up. Your constant presence may have been keeping certain emotions alive inside them, but not all feelings that survive on access are deep. Some feelings are just comfort, some are habit, some are ego being fed by steady attention, and silence has a way of separating real attachment from borrowed emotion. When your messages stop, when your reaching stops, when your energy is no longer wrapping around them every day, what remains is the truth of what they actually feel on their own. If their care for you is real, your absence will not erase it. It will sharpen it. They will miss you in a deeper way, not as a routine, not as an option, not as a familiar comfort that was always available. They will begin to feel the weight of your absence as the loss of a specific person who brought something rare into their life. They will remember your heart, your voice, your attention, your steadiness. They will begin to understand what your presence really meant, because now they can no longer take it for granted. But if their feelings were shallow, if they were mostly sustained by how easy you made everything, then the silence will expose that too. And painful as that may feel, it is still a gift, because hard truth is kinder than false hope. Real clarity is better than a fantasy that keeps draining your spirit. Do not skip this part. Sometimes the greatest blessing is not that someone finally comes forward. Sometimes it is that the silence reveals they never had the depth to do so, and that truth protects your future. What many people do not realize is that this silence is not only working on them, it is also working on you. Every day you stop pouring yourself into a place that is not meeting you properly, your energy begins to return. The overthinking slowly loses its grip. The emotional fog begins to thin. Your heart, which may have been living in tension for far too long, finally gets room to breathe again. That is when deeper clarity begins. You start seeing what you ignored. You start feeling what exhaustion had numbed. You begin to understand how much of yourself you were spending just to keep something going that should never have depended on your effort alone. And this is where healing quietly starts. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. The silence helps restore your discernment. It reminds you that peace is not found in forcing. It reminds you that love should not require you to abandon your dignity just to keep someone interested. It reminds you that your worth does not rise or fall on whether one person chooses to respond. And if this connection is not right for your life, your silence will help that truth come into full view too. What is not meant to remain often falls away when you stop feeding it. Not because you failed, not because you were not enough, but because some doors closed to protect you from wasting your heart in the wrong place. That is not rejection in the deepest sense. That is redirection. That is space being made for something healthier, clearer, and more equal than what you have been holding on to. After you stop chasing, the other person often enters a season of inner unrest, even if they hide it well. On the outside, they may look fine. They may keep posting, smiling, working, talking, and moving through life as if nothing changed. But underneath, a quiet disruption begins. First comes confusion. They were used to a rhythm with you, even if they never fully respected it. They were used to your energy being there. Used to the emotional current flowing toward them. Used to not having to wonder where they stood because your effort kept answering that question for them. Now that rhythm is broken, and when that familiar pattern disappears, their mind starts turning. They begin asking themselves why things feel different. Did something shift inside you? Did they miss something important? Did they push too far? Did they wait too long? These questions do not always land on clear answers right away. They circle, they stir, they create discomfort. Then curiosity grows. And curiosity can become powerful when access is no longer easy. But what happens after that depends on who they really are inside. A mature person lets that discomfort teach them. They reflect, they take responsibility, they become intentional. They do not only think about what they are losing, they think about what they failed to give while they still had the chance. And from that place, if the bond truly matters to them, they move with more honesty and purpose. Not from panic, not from ego, but from truth. That is the difference between someone who is shaken and someone who is transformed. Still, you must understand something important. Not everything resolves overnight. Silence is powerful, but it is not magic theatre. Real change often happens in seasons, not seconds. Many people expect the moment they step back that the answer will appear immediately, that the other person will rush in, explain everything, and suddenly become clear. Sometimes that happens, but often the deeper work takes time. Seeds do not become trees in a night. Growth does not always announce itself while it is happening. Some of the most important shifts are the ones you cannot measure in the moment. While you are waiting, something may be unfolding beneath the surface that your eyes cannot yet read. Their heart may be wrestling with truth. Their mind may be waking up. Your spirit may be healing in ways you do not yet fully see. Old attachments may be loosening. New strength may be forming. So do not mistake a quiet season for an empty one. Silence can be full of unseen movement. This is why you cannot run back just because the stillness feels uncomfortable. Do not rush to break your own peace just to escape uncertainty. Let the season do its work. Let time reveal what effort used to hide. Let the space show whether they have the courage to step forward without being pulled. And let yourself become someone who no longer confuses anxiety with connection, because that lesson alone can change your whole future. And listen closely here, because the next truth matters to anyone who has ever wanted to reach out again just to end the ache. So many people return to chasing, not because the connection became healthy, but because the silence makes them face a deeper fear, the fear of being alone. The fear that if this person does not choose them, nobody will. The fear that maybe this was the best they could hope for, even if it was inconsistent, draining, and far below what their heart truly needed. That fear can whisper dangerous things. It can tell you to settle. It can tell you to shrink. It can tell you to go back and beg for what was never being offered freely in the first place. But you have to challenge that voice. Do not let fear talk you into lowering your standards until pain feels normal. Do not let loneliness convince you that almost love is the same as real love. It is not. What is truly meant for you will not require you to chase it until you break. What is right for your life will not thrive only when you overgive and overcompensate. And if you needed to hear this today, hear it clearly. You are not losing your chance by becoming still. You are making room for truth. You are protecting your heart from being trapped in confusion. You are allowing what is shallow to fade and what is real to reveal itself. That is strength. That is wisdom. That is how your life begins to change. And if this message is reaching something deep inside you, hold on for one more moment, because this final part may be the reminder your spirit has been waiting for. If they are meant to step forward with honesty, the silence will make room for that. If they are not, the silence will make that clear too. Either way, you win back something precious: yourself, your peace, your clarity, your dignity, your energy. And once you get those back, you will never again be able to pretend that chasing was love when it was really fear wearing the clothes of devotion. Let them feel your absence. Let the quiet speak. Let the truth come without forcing it, without managing it, and without trying to control every outcome. Watch what they do when you are no longer the one carrying the whole bond alone. Watch whether they become intentional or remain passive. Watch whether they come closer with honesty or drift away with excuses. Watch whether they rise or whether they reveal they were only ever comfortable. But whatever happens, do not abandon your peace to restart an old pattern that was already draining your spirit. Stay steady, stay clear. Stay rooted in the truth that what is real does not need endless chasing to survive. And what leaves because you stopped overextending yourself was never being sustained by love in the first place. It was being sustained by your effort. So breathe again. Let go of the urge to force. Trust what silence is showing you. Because sometimes the greatest turning point in your life begins the day you finally stop running after what has been running on your energy alone, and you discover that what comes toward you next is either truth, transformation, or the freedom to receive something far better.